What does the word gutsy mean to you?
Dang it. I meant to prepare for this, but I'm going to go with what my gut reaction. Okay. It's really and truly being you. And like I said, being the version of you that you are when no one's around, and being brave enough to be that you in any circumstance. I have a client and a friend that has like this motto, and she says, live your free, which is doing and saying whatever comes naturally to you, regardless of their consequences. And so I feel like that is a perfect example, right? Like being yourself and being that version of you that when you're in your private moments, that you're able to be that version of you all the time. That's gutsy to me.
You're listening to the Gutsy Podcast, where we talk about all things real, raw, and ridiculous about running a business authentically. Whether you need an inspirational pick-me-up or a swift kick in the mental ass, the Gutsy Podcast is your bi-weekly guide to getting out of your head and back into action. I'm LauraAura, branding and mindset coach for female entrepreneurs, CEO of Works & Co., and your host on this journey through entrepreneurship. It's time to fuel your gutsy. If you're running a business and know that social media is a big piece of the growth puzzle, but you're fighting like hell to do it or show up, then today's episode is just for you. Today, we're talking with Britney Crosson about finding your unique brand and method of showing up online so it feels fun versus like another thing that you have to do. Britney is a social media thought leader specializing in personal branding that encourages business owners and creators to use their existing skills, talents, and knowledge to create exciting content that will make a positive impact on their audiences. She's the host and executive producer of a top global marketing podcast named the Social Sunshine Podcast. She's also the owner of Fun Love Media, which is an online marketing and media agency based in Texas, and the founder of Small Biz Social Society, which is a membership that helps ambitious entrepreneurs stand out in social media. You may have seen her on social, dancing on her exercise equipment or hyping up her audience with motivational business chat. With over 16 million views and counting, she's positively impacting lives all around the world through her videos. Before we chat with Britney today, fun fact of the day, Britney and I met on TikTok, the magical online place where anything goes. So if you're enjoying the Gutsy Podcast and could really use some infusion of like short nuggets of wisdom and or a swift kick in the mental ass and a high five, I would encourage you to follow me on TikTok. I am at that LauraAura, and follow Britney. Her link is in the show notes below. On my page, you can fully expect some blunt realities, some words of wisdom, some encouragement to get out of your own way, and grounded practical ways to implement shit. We're going to get real, we're going to feel the feels, and then we're going to do something about it. Because you, my friend, are insanely capable, and it's about damn time you start to believe it too. We're going to keep this vibe going. Britney has incredible wisdom, and we have a lot of fun, so let's get into today's episode. Britney, welcome to the Gutsy Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Laura. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So we were having a pre-chat here. I connected with Britney on TikTok a couple of years ago because she is a fellow Peloton rider, and I got drawn into her energy and her vibrance of dancing and sending positive messages on her Peloton bike. And I think that's one of the things that's really helped you to really like open up and spread your wings and get in front of a lot of more people. So it's incredible how we can connect with people that we had no idea who they were before, but you find a common thread. And now here we are having an interview, sharing a message with my audience.
I agree how wild it is still. Like I'm maybe aging myself, but I still go, there's this thing called the internet. And we talk on what? Like I just, which I think is cool. I always have like constant gratitude for it and excitement about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I connect with a strangely large amount of women in Australia. So hello to all my Australian friends.
Hello.
And it just, every time I get on a call with them, I'm like, you're literally in a whole different day. Like, like that, like you're a time traveler to me. It's bizarre, but it's fascinating. So I only found you because you put yourself out there. right? And I think that's kind of the basis of what we're talking about, is being yourself on social media today.
Right. That like I told you before we started recording, those videos on my Peloton bike and on my Peloton treadmill have just changed my life in so many ways. It's really been incredible.
I can't wait to dig into it. First, tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. What has led you to where you are today?
What has led me to everything has led me to where I am.
I
Okay.
feel
No,
that.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. No, honestly, my love for social media, which I think that is connected. Well, I know that that is connected to my love for performing, because back in the day when I first discovered MySpace, which I'm pretty sure it was 2003, I was turning 23 that year. I just remember thinking, what? Like, jackpot. This is amazing. It's like one big stage. I can just like type up something or put something together and anybody in the world could see it. So it was an immediately, immediate like love affair, me and social media. So I naturally liked it, loved it. And over the years, it progressed. I tried things, I experimented. I worked in the family business forever. So it was like up to me to figure out how to use Facebook for my dad's business. So I did our social media management in our tiny little family business. And this was back in 2009, 2010. And, over the years, I just kept at it, and I would explore, and I started a blog, and then I did a vlog, and then I did travel vlogging, and my family and we got all kinds of cool perks at hotels because I would post about it on the internet. And then I'll never forget, I think the very first person that asked me to help them with their social media was my friend who's a real estate agent. And she's like, I hate this social media shit. I do not want to fuck with it. Please, God, will you please do it for me?
For the love of all things mighty.
And she's like, can I just give you some sort of money? I don't even know. What do I do? Like, she was just clueless. She didn't like it. It made her very uncomfortable. And she knew I loved it. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll help you. And she gave me like a tiny bit of money. I don't even know. This is 2017, I guess. And then another business owner friend. So there were just, 2 or 3 of them that just kind of paid me for odds and ends of helping them with their stuff on social media, whatever random task it was, posting and all that. And then I guess, I finally realized, like, okay, this is a thing. This could be a legitimate business. Like, do you want to turn this into a thing? And I still had such high hopes for Hollywood in my mind. And I guess, I don't know, I was disappointed because it was like, things aren't going the way that I planned. I planned to be an actor on television, and that was what I wanted to like venture out into the world and do. And here I am, like, helping people on social media. I just didn't know what to make of it.
Right.
But I also thought it's pretty cool because they'll pay me to do something I like to do. And I always used to think that like people that said, I don't know, it just happened, it fell in my lap, were full of shit. But it just happened, it fell in my lap. Now I'm one of those people saying that. And so in January 2019, I officially named my business Fun Love Media because I like the word fun and I like the word love. And now, as the time of recording this, is 4.5 years later, and it's going great, and I'm loving it.
Amazing. I think it's interesting, like just following what I call the breadcrumbs of life.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe it wasn't the path that you expected, but there was something so much bigger in store for you. Right. And using your skills and your abilities and your natural passion combined with this other thing that you have natural skills, abilities, and interest in, and how they kind of have morphed together. Like that's incredible. Like sometimes I think that we can sit down and plan things.
Yeah.
There are moments, right? Like I'm not knocking planning because I do love a good plan, but sometimes this path or the journey or the things that we need to learn or absorb, you can't plan that shit, right? Like you could sit at your desk all day long, but it's not coming to you. You have to experience it.
Right. You're right. You never know what's going to happen. That's a big, like, kind of life lesson thing I like to talk about, is like, just because the path changes doesn't mean that you can't get to like a similar destination to what you had originally planned or hoped for. It's interesting how you have to have this balance of like, focus on your dreams, your goals, your passion, your purpose, all those deep things within you, while also being just loose enough to be open-minded and flexible. It's not easy to do. And that's probably why a lot of people probably don't end up doing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, for years I was disappointed in myself. God damn it, Brittany, you never moved to Hollywood. You never really tried. You never really went for it. Because I stayed local. I did Texas things. And if you're a Texas actor out there, that the opportunities it's limited. And this was also, because with every year technology has advanced so much. So this is also before people did auditions on video and things like that, And so I just felt so frustrated with myself. Like, what did you do? Did you do the wrong thing? And, all the questions you ask yourself. And I was getting into motherhood, and that's a whole other story. So I felt upset about it. I felt like, crap, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And when all this social media stuff started really ramping up and gaining more momentum, it just and then I would have like a viral video, a light bulb went off one day. And I was like, wait a minute, you always just wanted to perform for millions of people. And you have performed for millions of people. It just doesn't look the way you thought it would.
That's the key point right there. It looks different than what your mind mapped out, but it's still happening. It's just different. And so really leaning in and saying okay, this may not have been what I thought it would be, but how fucking cool is it now? Right.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit about those beginning videos when you decided to start performing, dancing, moving your body on the Peloton on TikTok.
I don't even know why I did it. I've been asked this dozens of times, and my answer sucks because I don't know why I did it. Now, I remember doing it. I remember those moments and what house we were in. We've moved a lot over the years. So I remember the home, and I had my little home gym, and I had my little setup, and it was all cute. And I loved my Peloton bike and all these things. So I was excited about it. And I thought, screw it, I'm just going to jam out on the bike and film it. I don't know. It's a random idea. And I go back and I look at those early videos. If you're a content creator, you understand. You go back and look at your early stuff and you're like, oh God. It's not super impressive, but we progress over time. And I just decided to do it. And I didn't even have my Peloton treadmill at the time. I had my old one because I've been a runner for years. And I started running as a treadmill runner because I had my baby, my son. And so he would be in the room in his little thing, so I could run on the treadmill, and, and so I just did it on the bike for a little bit. And I had fun, and I don't know, it just seemed like a fun thing to do. But because TikTok let you use music, and that it was allowed to do that. Before that, it was complicated to use copyrighted music, all the things that go along with that. So whenever I realized there's this thing called TikTok, and they're grown ass people dancing in the grocery store, and it was acceptable, well, to some, I just thought, I've hit the fucking jackpot. This is amazing. And so I don't know, I just danced on the bike. And then once I got my treadmill, I just one day danced on the treadmill and filmed it, and the rest is history.
And the rest is literally history. I think what I take from that though, is that you allowed yourself, because before most people talk themselves out of doing something that is different or out of the box, or maybe not what they're seeing everybody else do, right? It's oh, I have this hunch, or oh, I get this feeling that maybe I want to do that. And then the mind takes over. And then before you know it, you've completely talked yourself out of it. And now you're doing 40 other things that don't mean anything to you. Right. And so I think the fact that you leaned in and you were like, now I'm going to try this. Right. And not only am I going to film it, but I am also going to hit post, because that's that shit can live in your drafts for years. So I think what I'm hearing is just give yourself permission to do what comes to you, right? And whether you see other people doing it or not, whether it makes sense to other people or not, right. Give yourself the opportunity to try, because you never know, it could become your thing.
Right. Right. Exactly. And you're right. It's a multi-step process. Doing it's one thing, posting it is another, and, or filming it is one thing and posting it is another. And I think that I recognize that I have somewhat of an advantage, obviously as a lifelong performer. So I do have confidence in that. So that would be actually kind of a cool little tip for anybody looking for one, is if you are looking to put yourself out there more, you have that desire and that urge to share publicly on social media and just be a part of that world, make an impact, do your thing, build your business, your brand, whatever you want to be doing. Maybe start by leaning on something you already feel comfortable with. And I know that's not a popular thing to say these days. People say, get out of your comfort zone. And it's well, yeah, of course, there's a time and place for that. But maybe when you're starting this kind of a journey, that's not the time to necessarily do something that's totally foreign. So it's already going to feel a bit uncomfortable to post it, but at least give yourself that space to do something that you already have some confidence in. You want to feel good about yourself as good as you can when you're starting out, right? To put it out
Yeah.
into the world in a video. So I say, because so many people say, how do I get started? I want to share things. I want to help people on social media. And to me, that's it. I went with something that I already knew I could do. I felt confident about doing in general. And that I also felt, like was fun and enjoyable. People are like, well, how do you stay so consistent on social media? It's like, well, if you're going to create content, like you gotta like it. You got to incorporate something that you like, something about it. Otherwise you're going to fucking quit because
Yeah.
you're going to be miserable. So I don't know. I hope that helps somebody, lean into one of your strengths and post the fucking video.
Yeah. It feels like a little bit of an anchor point, right? Yes, the goals get out of our comfort zone and try new things, but if you have a little bit of an anchor point to help you step into the water
Yep.
to build the confidence, because I think that that's the easy thing to look at through a different lens, is like you appear confident online, but you've also done it how many thousands of times, right?
Yeah.
Like at this, plus you also have a background, right? So just that comparison game, confidence doesn't just like fall out of the sky and like beat you upside the head one day and now all of a sudden I'm this confident creature, right? It comes from messy action, it comes from trying, it comes from putting up those videos that now you look back and you're like, what? but those videos got you to where you are today, right? Like you can literally see the progression and the confidence grow. So nobody comes out of the gate being like perfect, right? And
Right.
nobody's perfect even beyond that, right? We're all learning and growing alongside one another.
All the time. I'll still look at videos that even aren't that old. I'm like, I don't know about that one, or like one will get like tons of views. And I'm like, that one?
That's the one. Oh, I know. That drives me nuts. I'm like, really? That's the one. I've always found, and I'm curious if you've had a similar experience, but I've always found the ones that I feel like I have a little bit of resistance wanting to hit post are usually the ones that take off.
Yeah.
Because usually for me, it's the ones where I've pushed my own comfort zone, or I've done something different, or I've really spoken like from my soul, or just like there's just something about it that I'm like, oh, this might piss somebody off. Oh, this might get those weird comments. Oh, this, like, but those are the ones that tend to take off. Do you experience anything like that on your side?
I have experienced that. And or if they don't necessarily take off numbers wise, it's interesting how I might end up with some messages, some private,
Mm.
that kind of thing. You can just sense it. You can feel it, whether it's in the numbers or it's in actual communication, just one-on-one with people that saw what you shared. You can just feel when you've done something that really made an impact, in my opinion. And it probably takes time, like maybe not if you're starting out, but over time on social media, you can just feel it. And you're right. Sometimes it'll take off and you'll go, oh shit, I was nervous about sharing that. And now look at how many people
And
saw it.
here they are. I mean, you're recently, like in present moment, going through an experience like that right now. We're at time of recording, we're in Pride Month, and you put out a beautiful video as an ally supporting. And holy crap, does the doors open for people's thoughts and opinions.
They did. And it comes with the territory. So it's cool. It's cool, fine. But yeah, I did share a post supporting Pride Month and followed it up with a post expressing to everyone how I have actually a mix of beliefs and I am a well-rounded person and and all these things about me because I just feel like that's so relatable and honest, right? And but you're right, it definitely got some people heated in the comments section, and then people heated at those people because they're coming in to defend the cause, and it just went back and forth, and it was an interesting thing to witness. But I feel like, well, first of all, I should say that it was uncomfortable for me to do those things because it's honestly easier for me to lip sync and dance. That's what I do and it's fun and there's no pressure really. I mean, now it's a comfortable thing for me to do. So for me to talk about anything that could even remotely be deemed as controversial, I gotta admit, I felt nauseous whenever I saw that happening in the comments because I just really, really like peace. Okay. I
Yes.
really do. And I know some creators intentionally share content that's controversial and thrive on that. And I think that's cool. Like whatever your thing is, right? But for me, I don't know. I really like peace. That's probably some sort of childhood trauma thing that we don't have time to talk about. But it's the honest truth, and that's how I am. But I just feel like it's good for people to know that if you are going to share on social media and you're choosing that route, and it's going to be vulnerable, it's going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to encounter moments like that, and it's okay. It's okay, because honestly, at the end of the day, we probably end up being much more hard on ourselves than what other people are.
So true.
People, we're all thinking of ourselves. I think it was Gary Vee one time said something about how like it's like you're in middle school and you're like so worried that everybody is looking at the zit on your face when really they're just worried about their own.
Yep, absolutely. And that was going to be one of my questions for you, because I know that's a huge reason why people hold back, aren't as open, aren't as vulnerable. Maybe they're just like, it's just easier to not, because I don't want to deal with the backlash. I don't want to deal with comments. I don't want to deal with all like rocking the boat. So what is some guidance or tips that you have for people that are fearful of keyboard warriors, as I
Right.
like to call them?
Right. Yes, they are keyboard warriors. Well, it really goes back to focusing on what matters to you and what's genuine. And sometimes we don't even necessarily know exactly what's genuine until we try it. That may sound weird, but it may, specifically for social media. And so I think that if that's true to you, and like, a topic that is possibly controversial and super vulnerable, but that's true to you, and you genuinely have a desire to talk about that, then talk about that. But, just keep in mind what comes along with that, and you'll work up your own little system. Like now, if I get a bad comment, I will laugh, like, especially if somebody says something negative on a dancing video. I mean, I will laugh out loud at it. And my husband and I have talked about how I should like read rude comments, like in different accents, like
Those would do so well.
there's just so much. So I just want to encourage everyone. It gets easier over time, really and truly it does. So if it feels true to you to share that kind of content, it's about you and what you feel inside is your purpose and what kind of impact you want to make. But keep in mind that if it makes you so uncomfortable and makes you feel like you genuinely don't want it, which might just take a little bit of digging, then you don't have to do it. You can share whatever the hell you want. I don't know. I just think that there's always this, like, with social media, quote unquote, experts out there, there's a lot of them.
Lots.
It's always like, you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. It's,
Yes.
their way. And I don't take that approach. I just feel like you've got to feel things out for yourself. I feel like if you want to talk about these things or those things, whatever, you got to pick what's right for you. I know that
Absolutely.
sounds like it's such a cheesy answer, but it's
No,
just the truth.
it's really not, though, because I'm 1,000% on board with you. I'm not a one system fits all type of person either.
Yeah.
And I think it's really easy to want to absorb what is, quote unquote, working for others because it's working for others. But we're all so different. We all have such different stories. We all have different goals. We all have different voices, right? And I think 1,000% what you're saying, like lean into who you are and what matters to you, and just know that it doesn't matter what you do. It's going to irritate somebody, right? At the end of the day. So if they're already going to be wound up about something, let them be wound up about who you truly are.
Exactly. And also, I love the idea of people choosing to show in their content things that really stand out about their life. And there's a interesting catch to this. I just dealt with this with a friend / client the other day, is that we don't even always necessarily realize that something in our life is like cool or interesting or intriguing or fascinating to others, maybe, right? That they could be inspired by it or learn by, because it's our thing. And so I have this friend who's also one of our clients, and I was helping her with some Instagram stuff. And I was like, I put together this video thing for her and and I said, girl, why are you and your husband, y'all are both very attractive, smart, cool people that are reaching for success. You're really putting in the work and I'm like, why, if I were you, I would be like exploiting that like crazy. It was the kind of funny conversation we had, but she hadn't even like really thought much about like, oh, Yeah, I guess I don't really share much about how he and I are like this great team and they are both attractive. Okay. I'm just saying. And, but really, and they're a great team and they're, taking care of themselves and they take pride in that and they're working hard and they're trying to be so successful and all this stuff. And they are successful. And so, but it just that light bulb hadn't gone off. So maybe also do that. Maybe have conversations with people about like somebody that you could really trust. Like what about me is unique? Like if you're having trouble with that, because I think sometimes we just don't even see it for ourselves,
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never heard anybody point it out like that, because it's just, to you, it's just your life, right? It's your routine. It's just how things are. But to other people, it's like, wow, right? Like,
right.
That's
it's inspiring.
inspiring.
So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their stuff and their pictures and I'm like, you guys are not only beautiful, but you're so interesting and smart and so inspiring, and they just don't lean into it very much. So, maybe that gets somebody out there's like gears turning.
Yeah, for sure. I want to come back because you mentioned this with your friend earlier too. And I know that this rings true for a lot of people. It's like, I just don't even want to. I run a small business. I'm trying to just do the thing. Social media feels like a thorn in my side, but I know that I have to do it because that's part of the landscape of marketing now, right? Now, there are a lot of different ways, right? So that could be argued one way or the other, but generally speaking, it's one of the most effective ways to gain exposure. So what do you recommend to people that hate social media, that need to do social media?
I recommend maybe you should hire somebody if you hate it that much. If you really hate it that much and you like aren't going to do it, you don't trust yourself, then honestly, probably hire somebody. But either way, pick something that you kind of, like I said earlier, kind of like a path of least resistance thing. That's a really great thing for somebody in that position. So meaning like, don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to do exactly what the next person is doing if that seems like a lot of steps to you and that makes the whole thing more overwhelming or annoying to you, right? Like try to start with the path of least resistance and try to start with a smaller workload if you're doing it yourself. But you can always increase it later. So for example, you might just say, look, okay, fine. I will post to social media 2 times per week and that's it. 2 times, not even getting on there any more than that. Cool. Then put it on your schedule and go ahead and decide on some content. Like I said, that is not complicated, path of least resistance. It might even just be a 10-second video of you giving your top 2 tips for how to sell your home fast if you're a real estate agent. And that's it. And move on. But for me, it seems like it's that discipline and routine of, organic social media content creation. And when you show up and you show up and you show up, it literally just becomes a habit and a part of your life/business, like brushing your teeth. It's just like anything else. It's just that you have to get used to it. So it may not be super enjoyable for you, but I think that if you will start there at something sustainable and do something pretty simple, that once it's a routine, you might want to challenge yourself and maybe just up it a little bit and a little bit. But also, like I said earlier, try to think of ways to make it at least somewhat enjoyable, at least something, whatever it is, because it's not going anywhere. And you're probably going to be doing it until the end of your days. So I feel like you're less likely to quit, if you enjoy it, or at least mostly enjoy it.
Britney is so 100% right. You must enjoy the things that you're doing for them to be sustainable and successful. And I don't know about you, but I find sometimes when I'm too head down, when I'm too in the weeds of things, it's very easy to lose sight of the bigger picture of the vision and what's actually going on. Something that is incredibly helpful is to be around like-minded people, other people that can hold you accountable, that can challenge you in the best of ways, and can celebrate the wins with you, because those are incredibly important. I know that I have felt like this, and that's why I created the Gutsy Collective, which is a free Facebook group where you can come in, get the support that you need, get the encouragement that you're hungry for, and do it all alongside people that truly get you. So if you are looking for a community, if you are looking for people outside of your head, but that truly understand what's going on inside your head, go to LauraAura.com and click on the Gutsy Collective, or scroll down and click on the Gutsy Collective in the show notes. All right, my friends, Brittany has more wisdom to share with you today. So let's get into the second half of today's episode. Well, I think it's a good reminder that like you can baby step into it, right?
Yeah.
Because the other thing that our brains want to do is like, I need to have the right planner and I need to have map out every day. And like, I need to have this whole grand thing. And then the bigness of it is often what stops us from moving forward, because now we've created something that's so unattainable in this particular moment, something that is so like 10 steps ahead of where we are, that we're like, nope, that's too much. I can't do it. So then we just don't post for like 3 weeks.
Right. Exactly. And that's the wishy-washy roller coaster thing. That's not good, because if you want to be taken seriously, I hate that word, because I always joke that like, you don't have to create serious content to be seriously successful.
Totally agree with that. That's a tagline, by the way.
Yes, it is. But no, if you want to be taken seriously, at what I mean, as in somebody like recognizes you as a legitimate business and something that they trust and that they might want to work with and all that, you have to have consistency in that. It's really important. Now, you don't have to do it exactly like everybody else. You don't have to be on it every single day. You don't have to. There's a lot of I should, but you got to pick something and be solid there and have one place you're showing up. And I think it will get better over time, and it will obviously grow. But you're right, you can baby step it. And so especially for someone that is really nervous or really annoyed by it all, that's a good choice. Start small, especially if you can't hire someone and you have to do it yourself. Just start small and maybe don't harp on it so much. Like if that stresses you out, in between, pick your moments when you're going to be on social. And if going in there and comparing yourself to others and all that starts to stress you out, then only go on social when you need to be posting and interacting with your people, and then leave. You again, customize it. Choose what's right for you.
Choose your path.
Choose your path. Yes.
Kind of what piggybacks with that too is, I hear a lot is I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to plan. I don't have time to do all these things. I could argue that, but I would love to hear your side of when you hear people say, I just don't have time to do that stuff.
When I hear I just don't have time to do social media, that translates to it's not a priority. And that's okay. This is not I'm not putting anyone down. That's just literally what that means. Usually what that means, right? That's what I mean when I say I didn't have time for something. Now, do we have a day here or there where you're literally from sun up to sundown, go, and then crashing in bed? Of course. But like, if this has been happening for 4 months and you just haven't found the time, it's not prioritized. And again, it's about making it a habit in your business and making it just be a routine and not overthinking it. But I will say, as far as like an actual like actionable thing you can do, I love batching. If you've been doing social media for a while, you probably have heard of this or done this, but maybe if you're new, you haven't. And you can just make a bunch of stuff at once, set aside even just 90 minutes and see what you can put together. And I bet if you're not posting daily, you're on this like 2 post a week situation, you could probably come up with stuff for almost a couple of months. If you're just organized, you have your checklist and you say, okay, I'm gonna make a video about this. I'm gonna get a few lovely photos. I'm gonna write a few things up. Boom, I've batched my work. So it's all ready to go. And over the coming weeks, you just release it when, whenever it's time.
Absolutely. Batching.
Yeah.
I will scream from the rooftops with you, because it's so much easier once you get in the zone. I think part of the challenge is like creating content. And I don't know if this is true for everybody, but at least for me, creating content is like a whole different part of your brain.
Yeah.
Right. It's an embodiment. You're thinking about the business from the inside out instead of the other way around. There's just a lot of aspects to it. Right. So you have to like be willing to dig into the deep end. But once you're in there, gosh, when I start, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I haven't created TikTok content in a while. My drafts are running dry, right? Like I need to batch some stuff. And the first 1 or 2 is like, not bad. And then the brain kicks on and then it just freaking flows out. And that's my own personal method. But I think finding your own method can work really well for you. But the point is like, give yourself uninterrupted time, like close the email.
Yep.
Silence the phone, right? Like the phones are off. Just give yourself the time to do it, because what you're trying to force in between other things, that's probably why it's so damn frustrating, right? You're literally trying to force it. But if you gave yourself, like you mentioned, 90 minutes, you can accomplish more in that 90 minutes than you could trying to force it throughout the next 4 weeks.
Right. Exactly. And, on this topic, social media is so unique to what we have known compared to what we have known in the past in the marketing world in general. I mean, when I started working for my dad's business when I was 16, I was helping to place newspaper ads in our local newspaper that we paid hundreds of dollars, by the way, for a small town quarter page ad in the newspaper. And all I had to do was get the info and hand it over to the newspaper people. And then they just did it. Right. I mean, just like a billboard, you would just give them the info and the picture and they just do it. Even somebody that's doing a local commercial, like you have people in charge and handling things for you. You don't have to figure out how to put it on TV. But here comes social media. And because it's free and accessible to all, business owners go, oh, so I need to go in here and figure it out myself. Now, granted, of course, there's always somebody that might need to hire somebody, but it's complicated if you're not going to. I recognize that and I appreciate that. It's like we all suddenly have to be on-camera spokespeople. And that was not a thing, even just honestly 10 years ago. And it's like you're putting yourself in this position where you have to be the creative, you have to put it together, you have to be the on-camera talent, you have to distribute it out into the world, when back in the day you didn't have to do all those steps by yourself. And again, you don't have to. Obviously, we all know you can hire someone, but a lot of people are doing it themselves. And then that's where this whole overwhelm comes and like, oh shit, I can't do all this stuff, it's too many steps. So you have to give yourself a break, and I think gain that perspective of like, wow, this is actually kind of a lot that I'm doing, and give yourself a bit of a pat on the back. That helps me. If you know what I mean, just kind of like, we all need that. Like, good job, girl. Look at you.
You did it.
I mean, you thought of a concept. You were the on-camera talent. You delivered the message. You edited and made it look cute, and then you put it out into the world. I mean, you're a goddamn television production company all in yourself. You know what I'm saying?
All from the comfort of your home.
But I think that, I think it's important to recognize that, and that we're in a different position these days. And if we respect social media in the way that those other marketing mediums were respected, which we may not even realize we were respecting them. But if we do it that way, I think then it's like, oh, this is real shit. I need to like kind of take this more seriously for my business, and do it just the way you would have done in the newspaper, the local TV, the flyers on the doors, or whatever back in the day. You see what I'm saying? Like there's this
1,000%.
There's this kind of lack of respect for the process of social media from some business owners, because one, I don't think they all understand the value of it quite yet. I think there's a lot of people catching up to that. And then two, it's like realizing you're doing that whole process yourself. When back in the day, other people handled it,
Absolutely. Look, I started my career journey as a graphic designer for the phone book.
All right.
So I am picking up what you're putting down. I designed ads in the yellow pages. And so I started my branding agency before social media was even a thing. And so I just made a video on this not too long ago, because I'm like, I started my business before social media was even a thing. Like we had magazine ads, and we had the phone book, and we had like networking events, and like all this like billboards and things that like took time. Right. And to your point, like there was an orchestration, there was a process, there were lots of people involved. And I think that we don't realize that how much opportunity we truly have in our hands, literally. Like you could create a video right now, you could put up a post right now that could literally change your fucking life. And when I started my business almost 16 years ago, that was not even an option, right? Like to get connected with somebody that knew somebody could take years, right? Because, hello snail mail. But I think the flip of the perspective and the energy around social media, because it does get a lot of bad rap, but damn, you literally have a device in your hands that you get to control that could literally change the trajectory of your life and of your business. Like mind blowing.
It's the opportunity is incredible. I always say that you can look at social media as a vehicle that can help deliver you to your purpose, to your destiny, if you will. I mean, it really can. It's amazing what you can do with that. You have so much opportunity, but I just, like you said, there's a negative vibe around it because of the nature of it. I mean, clearly it can be hard. You're interacting with perfect strangers all over the world, and sometimes kids are getting in there, and that's messing with stuff. And so I get it. It's complicated, but for those business owners out there that want to use it for that purpose and really make this progress in their business brand and their life, I mean, come on, like, it's absolutely incredible. The opportunities that have come into my life because I decided to dance on fucking exercise equipment. It's mind blowing. I mean, television opportunities. I've got multiple television opportunities and clients and genuine friends that I now know and love because of that. And helping my business grow exponentially and helping my podcast grow. It's just, the list goes on, and I've got lists for each client as well. And it's just a beautiful thing. So I think if you curate your social media experience so that way you're not following accounts that make you feel shitty, you're not messing with people that you don't vibe with, you're just leaving that alone. If Aunt Sally is harassing you, you're going to probably need to fucking block her.
Yep.
Okay. And do your thing, set it up how you need it to be for you to succeed, and then just go.
Absolutely. Just go. So many good nuggets of wisdom. I mean, I think conversations like this are like regrounding. So yeah, we're all out here floating on our space rock in our own little corner of the world, and it gets very big very quickly because our mind makes it very big very quickly. And so I think that these are just really good reminders that, like, we have so much more control than we think that we do, and it doesn't have to be complicated, and we can really truly do it our own way. I think my final question for you before we wrap up today is this concept of like my business self versus my personal self. Oh, I like the smirk. I love that. There's a good answer in here, and feeling like I have to be a different person, or I have to put on this persona, or I have to have myself put together, and all this more shoulds, right? I would love to hear your take on that.
I smiled because I love where you were going with the question, and I so relate to this whole thing. I already knew. Well, it can get deep, right? So I always say that, like, social media actually can be like therapy, because I think that in the big picture, and to have success in the long term, whatever success means to you, that you do end up having to find out certain things about yourself and dig deeper and be vulnerable and all that stuff that you might do with a therapist. It's honestly part of the journey. If it's a substantial part of your journey. And it's not for everybody, but the reason why I started with all of that is because it really is about you choosing to, let me use me as an example. I act the same way pretty much on social media as I do hanging out, having drinks, as I do in a meeting with a potential client. I mean, maybe I'm not, throwing back tequila in a meeting with a potential client. But the point is that, and this might just come with time and age, but I have just realized that it's just all me. And I've gotten such great results and feedback and worked with such good people by just doing that. And I think it's just a gradual thing that's happened where I had to, realize, because like we said before, it can be scary at first. You start sharing on social and you're like really acting, like I told you earlier, the way that like you would act without anybody around
Yeah.
in your content, the way you would talk or dance or have fun or whatever it is you do. And I just love the idea of being the same person. I mean, granted, if I'm in a work mode, I might need to focus more. And so therefore I might be a little bit more quiet. I have had people say more than once when they meet me in person, that I'm calmer than they thought with me. And I'm always like, I feel like I should like enter the room doing a tap dance every time I got to meet somebody, just to like meet those expectations. But that's just my opinion. I think being the same business self versus other self, that has paid off so much for me. Cause I think that everybody in the room is probably thinking the same thing. Like, am I allowed to say shit in this meeting?
Right. Yep.
And everybody else is thinking that. And I've just learned that over time. Again, it might come with age and time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a huge advocate of being the same person from 9 to 5 as you are from 5 to 9.
Yep.
Especially when you are your own business owner. It's a reflection of you, right? It is your energy, it is your persona, it is you. And I feel like when you have to put on this like 40-hour play every week, put on your business part of you and like be professional, whatever the hell that means, and like dress a certain way and make sure the makeup's on for the camera and like make sure the aesthetics are perfect. Like, holy crap, like that's exhausting. It's no wonder you don't want to fucking create content. Right? Like
all those hoops you're having to jump through. Damn.
Seriously. I mean, we make it way more complicated. And I think that we attract the right opportunities by simply being ourselves.
Right.
Well, and
I feel like people it ends up making the relationship with the client better when I go ahead and kind of break the ice and reveal my true self. And saying the word shit is a great example, right? But it could be something else. But I almost like, I feel like that then gives them permission to be themselves. And therefore you're now in this better relationship with the people that you're working with, because everybody can calm the hell down and know that you can just be you. It's a really beautiful thing. But I'm not trying to say it's just so easy at first. It can be nerve-wracking at first to go, I need to kind of loosen up and be myself, or whatever yourself is. Maybe you're actually very serious and you try to be loose and that makes you seem awkward. If you're serious and that's your personality, do it, and it's not going to be easy at first, just like making a video and posting it isn't easy at first. Nothing like that is easy at first. And the sooner that we all remember that and embrace that, I think that helps, because I think that there's this misconception of like, maybe somebody looks at me and sees these videos and go, that must be so easy for her. Well, yeah, now it's been years, it's overnight success took about 12 years,
Yep. That's the thing. You're seeing the product of not giving up. You're seeing the product of vulnerability. You're seeing the product of trying and having things completely fail out from underneath of you, right? Like you're seeing the result of continuing. Yes. And I think that that's what it boils down to. What you're looking at online is the result of not quitting. Yes. And if you give yourself the opportunity to try in the first place and take messy action and figure it out along the way, and no, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just flip on a camera. I'm a huge fan. Like I get these downloads sometimes and I'm like, this is what we're doing today. I've learned to just trust myself, right? No makeup, messy bun. I literally don't give two shits, right. But it's taken me 15 years to not give two shits. Right. So that whole comparison thing, it's a very loud voice, but very shiftable when you realize that all you're seeing is the result of people not giving up.
You're right. And it made me think of, I saw a recent video of yours on TikTok where you were like in a blanket and you were like, this is what I look like
when I'm scrolling.
And I was like, I love that. Sometimes you just like, I just want to show like the normalcy here or the messiness or whatever's happening,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure I look funky whenever I'm in bed looking at TikTok. It's like I got like major chin and like I'm down here and maybe I have like some wine over here.
It's like that thing when you accidentally turn the camera around and you're like oh, right? Like you just
that's what I look like right now.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa, hold on a second. Let me adjust that. Yeah, but I think it's just a reminder that like behind all the production, behind the message, behind everything are just humans.
Right.
Freaking humans. And
I think it's important to like also give a shout out. I kind of already did this with the serious personality thing to the people that actually are naturally more together. That's cool tol Absolutely. I think that the whole like, I'm like, especially in the mom world, like I'm a hot mess express. And I like all these things, all these mom things I see, being a mom, I see all this, but if you're the mom that's the opposite and you do make sandwiches in the shape of hearts and everything is perfectly clean, you go, girl. That's fucking cool, dude. That's you. Then shine and let that shine. It can go both ways. I just think that like the more like messy version probably gets the love and support, kind of like an underdog, right? But no matter what it is about you, because I find that in myself too. Like I have a side of me, like business wise, that's like, go getter. We're getting shit done. We're taking action. We are not fucking around here. And that's just how I work. That's not always very relatable, I think, but that's how I work. And so I have to remind myself, it's okay to talk about that and to be proud of what you did. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
turn the tables a little bit. No matter what kind of person you are, it's okay. Just let yourself shine.
Let yourself be who you are. I think that's a good reminder that it doesn't matter where you fall, that there's always going to be criticism. So you might as well be criticized for being yourself, right? Like I see people that are just like naturally just like they're really into fashion and the home decor and everything does look really good, but that brings them joy. So why are we bashing people for being happy? That's what I want to know.
My house doesn't look that perfect. Okay, calm down, fine.
Didn't say it had to be. Like, it's back to the middle school thing. We're all walking around feeling like everyone's pointing fingers at us when it's just truly not the deal. Britney, this has been such an awesome conversation and such a joy and an honor to connect with you. I want to make sure everyone knows where to find you, connect with you, and learn more about what you do. So where can we find your goods?
You can find me on social media, Britney Crosson. I'm all the Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, but I don't know. Even as a social media professional, I'm still working on that. Okay. You can go to my website, BritneyCrosson.com. You can listen to my podcast, the Social Sunshine Podcast. A new episode comes out every week. It's all about social media. So if you are a social media content creator, a social media manager, or just a social media fan and lover, it's the show for you. I would love for you to come listen and say hi. Send me a message on social. Tell me you heard me on Laura's show.
Excellent. I'll make sure we have all those links in the show notes. And my final question today is, what does the word gutsy mean to you?
Dang it. I meant to prepare for this. But I'm going to go with what comes my gut reaction. Okay. It's really and truly being you. And like I said, being the version of you that you are when no one's around, and being brave enough to be that you in any circumstance. I have a client and a friend that has like this motto, and she says, live your free, which is doing and saying whatever comes naturally to you, regardless of their consequences. And so I feel like that is a perfect example, right? Like being yourself and being that version of you that when you're in your private moments, that you're able to be that version of you all the time. That's gutsy to me.
Beautiful. Brilliant. I love it. Amazing. Well, I think that you were gutsy and you put yourself out there. And because of that, we got to connect, and I'm thankful for that. So thanks for being you. Thanks for putting yourself out there. And I can't wait to see what's next in your world.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm so happy to meet you.
Thank you. Look, one of the most underrated tools that we have at our disposal is learning how to trust yourself. You are literally created with a built-in compass, a guiding light, a North Star that is forever speaking to you. But through societal standards, thoughts, feelings, expectations of others, situations, all kinds of horseshit, you are taught to go outside of yourself for the answer. And that's why on this Thursday's Power Back episode, we're going to focus on relearning how to trust yourself. Because when we quiet the mind, we reconnect with self, and we choose to consciously take action from that space, my friend, you become unfucking stoppable. So if this is making the hair on your arms stand up, come back for this Thursday's Power Back episode. In the meantime, come say hello. I play the most on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find me on all platforms using @thatLauraAura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.